And welcome back to Washington Commanders Insider. Today, we're talking about an NFL.com article that lists the Washington Commanders as a top 7 most improved team for this upcoming season. And so before we jump into it, I first want to remind you to hit that subscribe button. Just like Jayden Daniels is going to be hitting, Terry McLaurin, Deebo Samuel, Zach Ertz, Jalen Lane, and many others for multiple touchdowns this upcoming season. And so in exchange for hitting that subscribe button, I'm going to give you nothing but daily content around the Washington Commanders. And so make sure that you hit that like, you hit that subscribe, and you join the Washington Commanders Insider family as we talk nothing but Washington Commanders football. And so with that being said, let's go ahead and let's jump into it. We're talking about the Washington Commanders named a top 7 most improved team ahead of this upcoming season. And so if you've not got a chance to read this, you can go over to NFL.com. This is written by Nick Shook. And the other teams that are listed with the Washington Commanders, you have the New York Jets, you have the Arizona Cardinals, the Las Vegas Raiders, New England Patriots, Minnesota Vikings, and the Chicago Bears. It's not in any particular order if you want to go over to this article and read about this. And so we're going to paraphrase what he had to say and then go ahead and jump into it. And so he says that the Commanders entered the offseason with a clear goal, which was to capitalize on their newfound success and do so fearlessly with their trades for Deebo Samuel and Laremy Tunsil that gave them 2 proven veterans to help a offense, which is headlined by 2024 Offensive Rookie of the Year, Jayden Daniels. He does mention the struggles for both Deebo Samuel and Laremy Tunsil. Talks about Deebo Samuel, how he struggled as far as staying healthy enough to consistently produce in San Francisco in recent years. With Laremy Tunsil, he talks about how he allowed 52 pressures in 2024, the most for him in a season since 2018, according to Next Gen Stats, with a pressure allowed rate of 8.3%, 4th highest for him in that span. But lastly, he says that if everything works out for the Commanders, they should be better than they were a year ago when they sprinted all the way to the NFC Championship game. All right. So with these 2 players, I think that he is right on point. I think that both of these players certainly will help this team this year as far as being more improved than they were a season ago. I do think that there's more to the story, which we're going to talk about that in a moment. But Deebo Samuel and Laremy Tunsil are going to be huge for Jayden Daniels really taking a step forward this upcoming season, because I think that Jayden Daniels is going to face even more pressure. I think that teams are going to try to sack him even more this season, because last year he was the 6th most sacked quarterback in the National Football League with 47 sacks. And I think that Adam Peters really was thinking ahead coming into the season. And especially when he goes out there and he makes the moves that he did in the draft, but then also to adding with what he did in these trades, this was huge for the Washington Commanders moving forward this season. And I think that both of these players are going to help cut down the pressure that Jayden Daniels is going to face. And it's also going to help him from not getting sacked as much. And so starting with Laremy Tunsil, it's obvious. I mean, he's going to help that offensive line, and he's really going to be an anchor and a captain for this team. Because even though Jayden Daniels did get 47 sacks last season, I think that this offensive line was pretty solid for the most part. And I think that they took a huge step forward. And I think by adding Laremy Tunsil, you take another step forward this season and hopefully cutting down those sacks, because Laremy Tunsil has really seen it all in the National Football League at this point. You're talking about a guy that has 5 Pro Bowls under his belt. And I think that he's coming in extra motivated. I love the fact that he did give up so many pressures last season. And I think that Adam Peters knows that he's coming into this situation hungry, seeing how this team was successful last year. And then also, too, with the championship aspirations that this team has, you know that that energy is going to transfer right down to Laremy Tunsil. And so I think he's going to be huge, along with what you're going to get from Brandon Coleman, who really outperformed his 3rd round draft status last season. I love the fact that Adam Peters went out and made some signings to make sure that this offensive line had some continuity. You bring back Trent Scott. I love the fact that you bring in a veteran in Nate Herbig And then also to bringing back Michael Dieter to go along with Josh Connolly Jr., who you drafted. So I think the offensive line is going to be much better. Laremy Tunsil is going to help cut down that pressure, hopefully cut down the sacks as well. And with Jayden Daniels, he just needs maybe another half second here to get it out to his playmakers. And when you look at Deebo Samuel and how he's going to help as far as cutting down the pressure and the sacks for Jayden Daniels, I think that with Deebo Samuel, he's clearly shown that he's a player that you just need to get the ball into his hands, and it doesn't have to be something where it's deep down the field. I think that with Deebo Samuel, he's really going to eat with the slants. I think that he's going to be critical in the screen game and everything else. And so also, the hot routes. I think that when Jayden Daniels has to check down, I think that he's going to be able to find Deebo Samuel, and Deebo Samuel has the ability to make defenses pay, because if he's getting the ball in his hands and he is eating defenses up with the yards after catch, which is the yak, then it is going to make teams really think twice about coming after Jayden Daniels, especially if he's lighting them up like that. And so Laremy Tunsil buys Jayden Daniels that time to get it over to his playmaker. And then with his playmaker, he is going to make defenses pay for blitzing Jayden Daniels. And so both of these players are going to help Jayden Daniels take the step forward, because you're helping him cut down on the sacks. You're helping him cut down with the pressure that he's going to face. So that leads me to the next point. I think that these are two pieces that, yes, they do help the team as far as being improved. But I think that there's other things that we have to look at as to why this team is one of the top 7 most improved teams in the National Football League going into this year, because I think that you have to look at what Adam Peters really did and just start with what he did in the draft. I think by adding Jalen Lane, I think that that helps as far as the playmakers. We just talked about what Deebo Samuel's going to do. I think that Jalen Lane adds to that as well. And so you've added him. And so now you've added another dimension to that offense. It's going to be tougher for teams to just sit there with the pass rush with all the things that he could do along with Deebo Samuel. And then when you look at the defense, I think that it's really gotten better too as well, starting with the secondary. I thought that the secondary was one of the stronger points for the Washington Commanders. And so when you bring a guy in like Trey Amos and his ability to really be sticky like that in coverage, and then also to bring that just dog mentality, I think that that is going to be huge for this team as far as taking a step forward in the secondary, because you've added more versatility to a unit that was solid last year. So we just talked about this with Mikey Sammerstill, who proved that he could play well on the outside. We know that he can definitely play on the inside. And so if Trey Amos pans out, which it looks like so far he's looking good, we'll see what happens when the pads come on preseason and everything else. But if he pans out, you can now move Mikey Sammerstill into his natural position. And then with Marshawn Lattimore, which, you know, I think a lot of people are probably writing him off. But if he comes back and he is about 85% of who he was with the Saints, that is going to be huge for this team. You're talking about, yes, a team that has improved because of that. And then, you know, the other additions that Adam Peters was able to make defensively for this team. I love the fact that he added a veteran like Jones coming over as well. I think that that is going to be huge for this team as far as giving them some versatility. And then also up front, I think that Adam Peters did a great job as far as going out and just making value signings for this team, where they were able to get much bigger, they were able to get faster, they were able to get the length. Because when you look at the veterans that he added, you know, with Eddie Goldman up front, you know, with Jacob Martin, with Dietrich Wise, those were all on 1-year deals. And so I think that all those additions to this team definitely help improve this team, because now from a scheme standpoint, it's going to work, I think, a lot more better on the defensive side of the ball. And so, yes, those two players are definitely going to make the headlines, but there's so many other additions to go along with that that I think really help this team become one of the most improved teams here, or listed in the top 7 teams like NFL.com. And then also, too, I forgot Javon Kinlaw, too. So anyway, you guys let me know in the comments here what you guys are thinking about this. Do you agree with this NFL.com article that suggests that the Washington Commanders are a top 7 most improved team? he lists Deebo Samuel and Laremy Tunsil. I think that he's right on. I think that it's going to help cut down the sacks and then also to help protect Jayden Daniels as far as taking another step forward. And then I also added too with just what Adam Peters is doing and just really how he's cooking in the front office here, because we talk about players getting better and really stacking, good practices, stacking wins, and you're stacking all these things on top of one another to create a winning situation. I think that Adam Peters has done a terrific job with stacking transactions and great transactions, because if you look back at what he did in this draft class, I think that that was perfect because it really built on what he did in the 2024 draft class when he brought in Johnny Newton, Mikey Samerstill, Ben Sinnott, who I think is going to have a huge role this year, Luke McCaffrey, Jordan McGee, we just talked about him, Dominique Hampton, you got Javonte Jean-Baptiste. Like, that was a solid draft class, and then he came back and had an even better one this next one. And so you guys let me know in the comments here what you guys are thinking. And look, as we always say, go Commanders, and I will see you guys on the next one. All right, peace.